pervasive genre at the moment where it's poets who think they can make a little bit of extra money by writing a novel instead of some poems, but aren't very good at the whole plot and character thing, so just write an autobiography with some theories shoehorned into it. Yeah.
Half the books in our shop is melted.
There's some very good examples of it on this table. And it can be done incredibly well, but sometimes it isn't done incredibly well, so I decided to try and do it myself. And it is up to you to decide whether I did it badly or not. So that is the fun game for the evening. So yeah, this is from Proteus. I need to remind some of my friends that something doesn't need to be a revolutionary act for you to be allowed to enjoy it. A rose is a rose is a rose is a road, and sometimes gardening is just fucking gardening, and that is fine. There's a lady on YouTube who lives in Texas and removes swarms of bees from people's property by scooping them up with her hands. She breaks the honeycomb out of their hives, out of empty compost bins and abandoned fridges that they've built their homes in, and gently places them in temporary hives to take them back to her apiary. There's also a man on YouTube who removes people's wasps with a hose pipe and a vacuum cleaner, and when they're all dead, he breaks apart their nests and takes the combs back to feed to the larvae to his chickens. Either way, it was a great day of saving the bees. Everyone has decided to just fucking throw their trash on the ground because never thinking about it again is a radical act of self-care and rebellion. Walking past Wellington Arch, there's garbage everywhere, and you'd like to think that some of the organisers could have community action together, £3.20 for some refuse sacks, but on the other hand, that would have gone against the whole Pride as a protest spirit of it, because it would be too organised and too sanitised. And at least this is actual gay garbage on the street, rather than the actual parade that they're throwing right now, where people on the Deutsche Bank float are throwing condoms with the Deutsche Bank logo on them into the street, where they fall into the gutter and get washed into the sewer, where they clump together in a massive pink washed fatberg clogging up the systems. Horrible perennial pandan lilies growing from boxes in the sunken courtyard behind my house are always in the shade. You won't stop texting me pictures of Paul Cadmus paintings. Not that I want you to stop doing that, I need the attention. I'm obsessed with the Ghost Stories dub again. It was this mildly successful kids cartoon in Japan, but there was no market for it in the West, so when the dubbing company acquired the rights, they played extremely fast and loose with the contract terms, and as long as they didn't actually change the overarching plot or divert too much from the individual story beats of the episodes, they had free reign to do whatever they wanted, and so the show just turned into this half-scripted mess of blue humour and offensive jokes, and the whole thing is just glorious in its chaos and incongruity. And so we loaf through the world, possessed by its expectations of us. Tonight, I'm like a worse, sadder Saint Sebastian, not letting any of the arrows hit me despite the assumptions of the archers who are all drunk and doing poppers, and this metaphor has run its course, so we go to the dark room. What's the point of a targeted ad that targets like this? I booked tickets for this event, and as soon as I did, every single time I started clicking mindlessly through my friends' Instagram stories, all of the adverts between the slides were for this event, which I already had a ticket for. Hand in hand, badly printed metallic silver wristbands, we stop to make out in front of a floor-to-ceiling mirror in the corridor, and you slip a hand down my shirt and the other through my hair as the music pounds and the men pound. My heart pounds in my chest, and in the smoking area, an Italian man points out that there is cum in your stubble, and you point to me and we laugh, and he says kissing you is like licking an ashtray. And I said that I would lick hundreds of them from the desks and tables and floors of sinners and strangers to be allowed to hold your hand. Someone has thrown the peel of their orange onto the street outside Russell Square Station, so a tiny blue butterfly is perched on it, My soul is a dark red smear of a path through a hospital. Someone in the internet is pointing out the positive connotations of the colour red and explaining colour theory to everyone with an air of absolute obliviousness to the fact that it looks like a fucking trail of blood from a dying body being dragged from room to room in a hospital. It's like when you say to me how you admire that I am so stoic and I don't let anything bother me, and then I go and cry in a cupboard. The heat wave killed off all of the grass in the parks to straw and burnt the leaves off the trees, and it looks like autumn, but it's 30 degrees at 8 a.m. and we are doomed. After 5 p.m, I walk through Pimlico and Victoria into Hyde Park and sit in the Rose Garden and read Deceit by Yuri Felsen, and I really enjoy it despite the fact that without justified text, novels drive me absolute nuts. It's like the prose is flickering off the edge like a candle in its death throes, exhausting the wax. The context is all slippery, black ice over chewing gum stuck to uneven pavements. I feel like you're driving me off my centre, like I'm shoving flowers through a glory hole and can't understand the expectations of the situation, like I'm making more of everything and the reality of the contraction won't line up with the expanse. I might as well have thrown the book in the river for all I'd learnt when you answer me. I keep wondering if all of the straight boys who started wearing pearl necklaces because of Harry Styles know that if they went to certain kinds of gay clubs, they would be signalling to older men that they want them to spunk all over their faces. Maybe it's better for the process TM if I remain single. It's been working for me so far. I will admit I've written fucking thousands of poems and nobody has ever loved me. So the correlation is there, even if the causation isn't. I'm like the emotional equivalent of a gently used furniture warehouse marketing itself as high quality mid-century modern, which means I'm out of your price range and kind of rickety in spite of how solid and functional I seem at first glance. I'm indie sleaze back to disappoint a new generation. I got ID'd buying Monster Energy drink, and last night I was horrified when a twink called me daddy, because what? It takes a village to abandon a community art project once it's grown tired of it. I'm having a Proustian moment with the smell of rotting apples, and I don't like the way that childhood feels like being down on my hands and knees in the lawn,